Commissioner Kirkwood, in September of 2001, Andrea Olson alleges that she came to visit you to collect some money, ostensibly to pay some rent, that in the process of that interview, there was a strip search. You've heard the allegations, sir, over the past couple of days. Are any of those allegations true?
Those allegations are absolutely not true, and according to the investigator that did it, they're unfounded. She came to our outreach center, talked to a caseworker the day before. She applied for money from the Coalition for the Homeless. Those funds are held by all of the agencies in the area and can only be approved by 3 agencies giving permission for the funds to be released. And she applied for that, came back the next day demanding her check, and the caseworker wasn't there, so the associate director called me to the front counter. I talked with Miss Olson, and she said she filled out the paperwork but did not have the paperwork, so she came in the office, filled out the paperwork. At no time was I ever alone with Miss Olson. There were employees all over the place. There were 4 employees that testified to the fact that she was in eye shot of them the whole time. She sat across the desk from me, filled out the paperwork. The whole thing was 5 minutes. Miss Olson stood up, and I escorted her to the door, and I patted her on the back and said, I'll do my best to try to call other agencies and get you the funds. And that office has windows in it. There were employees that were there that testified. They could see the whole time, and so it absolutely did not happen.
Was there ever any contact with her at all, the entire exchange?
I patted her on the back as she exited the office in front of an employee who testified to that, and she said, "God bless you." And so she left there and told us that she was going to go by bus to a church across town to ask them for additional funding. And so I went back to my office, sat down, and when I looked at her form to begin calling area agencies to get her the $250 assistance, discovered she hadn't signed it. I got up from my desk and went out front to see if I could catch her before she left, and she'd already gone around the corner to the bus stop, so I got in my vehicle, drove around the corner to the bus stop, and she came up to the passenger side of the vehicle, and I showed her that she hadn't signed the form, and so she signed the form. 2 staff members drove by at that moment, saw her standing outside the vehicle signing the form. She gave me the form, and I told her once again I would make the phone calls to see if I could get other agencies to agree to give her the $250 coalition assistance. Went back to my office, began making phone calls. That's when I began to find out that Miss Olson had quite a shady past and a bad track record with a number of agencies around the Amarillo area. Called Faith City Mission and talked to a lady named Becky Zent, and Becky Zent began to tell me quite a bit of history about her and informed me that Andrea Olson had a drug past. I think on her interview here she said she had not been involved in drugs, but certainly we have evidence, quite a lot of evidence, that she's had a long drug past. In fact, evidence that we are acquiring shows that while she was at the outreach center at that time, she tested positive for crack cocaine. And so as a result of these other agencies saying that she would be at risk if we were to give her money that could be used for drugs or whatever, they declined to give it to her. So she told me which Baptist church she was going to in town. I called over to that church, and she was there at the present time, and so I asked them to put her on the phone. I began telling her, you know, we wanted to help you, but I've called these people, and they've told me that, you know, you've not had a very good track record around town, and that they would not agree to giving you this money. She became very upset and angry and volatile and slammed the phone down. And 2 days later, a detective shows up at our outreach center informing me that Miss Olson said that I strip searched her while at the outreach center. And the truth is, it could not have happened. It was thoroughly investigated over a couple of weeks period of time. Staff members were talked to. there were discussions. The police record shows it, and the sergeant that did the investigation, his summation was it was unfounded. Then it was handed over to the city prosecutor, and I think his quote was that there was insufficient evidence that a crime was even committed. And so I was quite stunned when all of a sudden this surfaced again. You know, I have a number of political enemies that just 6 weeks ago informed me that they were aware of this police report, and that if I did not resign, that they were going to bring it out, and that they were going to make me regret it. And certainly they have done that. And I don't know if this girl was paid money to do this or what her motivation was, but certainly the timing of it has been very politically timed with the election. And I don't mean this girl any harm. You know, I turned the other cheek 7 years ago. I had board members feeling like I should file a suit against her at that time. I turned the other cheek. But now there's a stack of information, like 4 inches thick, I'm told, that about her past and the things that she's done, and found out that I'm not the only one that she's made these similar allegations towards. And so I just feel like that it is certainly reckless that this has happened.
Backtrack 1 second and tell me again, how much money was she after, and what would that money ostensibly have been used for?
She was asking for rent assistance. She told us that she had a place to rent. We later found out that that really wasn't accurate. She really was homeless. She wanted $250, and that would have been money through the Coalition for the Homeless to help prevent people from becoming homeless. And so it was $250.
Why do you think 2 days later all of this stuff got trumped up, in your view, trumped up against you?
You know, I don't know. I mean, she was very angry at the phone. I think information given to us now shows that during that time she tested positive for crack cocaine. And there's all kinds of things, cases that have been filed against her and things that she has done. And certainly I don't think she was in stable capacity. You know, that can make a person rather volatile.
Did you get any indication during the 5 or 10 minutes that you spent with her that this kind of behavior was possible from her?
No, she was really kind, and when she left the office, she even said, "God bless you." And I patted her on the back and said, "You know, I'll do my best to help you. I have always enjoyed helping people." We help 20 to 30,000 people a year at the Outreach Center. And, you know, she was no different, just someone needing help and assistance. And she just had a baby. We understand the baby's been taken by CPS now from her custody, and that there were abuse charges with regard to that. But at that time, I had compassion on her and wanted to help her. $250 wasn't a lot of money. And simply, it wasn't even our money. It was held in trust with the Coalition for the Homeless, and we would have been happy to have helped her with it. But when the other agencies began to tell us about her past and the drug history and those kinds of things, we typically wouldn't give money to somebody like that.
What kind of safeguards do you have in place at Cornerstone to make sure these kinds of allegations don't come to light and don't bear fruit?
Well, you know, we have windows in the offices. Now to this date, I don't meet with women alone. And I didn't meet with her alone in that situation. The secretary was 3 feet outside the door as she testified. The associate director was there. There were 2 other ladies present. And my father was standing in the window of the office pointing at his watch because he and I had an appointment, you know, and he was standing there the whole time. All of them said she was on the couch. She didn't leave the couch. I was behind the desk. You know, anyone in this day and time can make any allegation they want to. And certainly the police looked into it, talked to everyone involved, everyone that was around there, and their summation was that it was unfounded.
And lastly, your comments that this may be some kind of political vendetta against you, and the chance that at least you have your chance to answer these allegations here on KVII?
6 weeks ago, I had a former official that was retiring that came to me and told me that if I did not vote the way that he wanted me to put in the individual that he had handpicked to replace him, that he knew about this police report and that he was going to bring it to light and that I would regret it and he would see to it that I would never be elected in this community. And certainly I think that he has held true to that. And I've never been afraid of the truth. I wasn't afraid of the information that was in that report. Fully investigated. You know, when you run an outreach center for 12 years like I have, there are going to be people that come in that are desperate. They want money. You know, and we handle them the very best we can. We're very open with them. We pray for them. But in 12 years, you know, you're going to run into some people that are going to get disgruntled. There have been times we've had to call police and have people removed out of the building because they went ballistic. It's the nature sometimes of the people that we're trying to help. By and large, the people who come to the Outreach Center are wonderful people in our community, and we're here to help families. And that's why I'm a commissioner. I like helping people. But the political climate has become so vicious in our community and even around the nation. And I'm sorry that it has really come to this, but now we've had to hire a law firm to look into the investigation and the allegations of why this girl has done this, if someone has paid her to come forward at this time, and to check it out and to look at whatever directions and the next step that we have to take.
I must ask, have you been the subject of another criminal police report ever in your career, in your life?
No, I've never been the subject of any other police report, maybe a traffic accident or something like that, maybe something related to the Commissioner's Court. Sometimes the entire Commissioner's Court gets sued by some former employee. That's typical stuff, but no, I haven't. Don't have a police record, never been convicted of anything. I don't even believe I've ever been convicted of a misdemeanor unless it was maybe a traffic ticket that I paid.
Final comment at all?
Well, my final comment would just simply be that it saddens me that we've come to this point in time, even in our community. This is a community that I love very much. There are people that are sympathetic to Mike Shoemate, the fact that I turned over information to the FBI concerning him. It wasn't my job to determine guilt or innocence for him, but as a public official, it was my job to turn it over to the proper authorities. And I did that. And they pursued it, and they let the law take out the course that it took. And there are individuals that are very sympathetic to his cause and that have made it very clear that they're very angry at me and that they will resort to anything to discredit me and to really assassinate my character. And certainly it has come out, you know, here just a few days before the election for that very purpose. And I'm asking the people of Potter County, the people of our community, not to believe it, not to give in to dirty politics, but to stay the course and to do what they believe is right.
Mr. Kirkwood, thank you.
Thank you.